are left-wingers so excited about this million-man march of Syrians and Afghans and Somalis through Europe? The media, politicians, the whole opinion establishment on the left. In Canada, Maclean's magazine wrote a staggering column that wasn't satire, calling for our country to take 200,000 Syrian refugees. Basically just pick up an entire Syrian city with all of its dysfunction and just plop it in Canada. I mean, imagine that from a dozen points of view. Language skills, illiteracy, lack of job skills, health problems, both regular and post-traumatic stress disorders. Imagine the crime rate. Imagine the sexism and misogyny. I mean, imagine the stress on our schools and hospitals and subsidized housing and homeless shelters. It's bad enough as it is. How could anyone propose this? And yet it seems like all the official people in the world are saying this at the same time. Well, here's my theory. For many liberals, it's an act of emotional therapy to call for this, of ridding themselves of their liberal white guilt, especially in Germany, which still has a national psychological issue left over from the Nazis. I mean, if you kill 6 million Jews and millions of other people, maybe you need to do something to expiate your guilt, like embracing the whole world, even in an indiscriminate way, even if you're taking into your bosom a million military-aged Muslim men with no cultural or national affection for you. In fact, I think that might make it all the more appealing for Germany. I mean, Germany is committing a form of cultural suicide here, sort of like someone cutting themselves as a form of self-hate and punishment and atonement. The Germans even have a word for it, Selbsthass, to hate yourself. Maybe that's what's going on here. But not everyone in the West hates themselves. Some people have a rational self-interest here. Part of it is the same reason why many Americans want to open up the borders with Mexico, or at least the elites do. They want cheap labor, a gardener, a cook, a pool boy, construction workers. In a high-cost labor market like Germany, bringing in 1 million young, low-skill men will make everything cheaper for employers. I mean, that's great if you're looking to hire someone, but if you're a German worker or someone trying to find a job, you've just had 1 million people come in willing to undercut what you'll work for. And at the same time, 1 million new people in Germany will now need housing. Again, that's great for people in the landlord business and the construction business, but not so great for everyone else looking for housing. 1 million low-cost workers, lower wages. 1 million more tenants, raise rents. Again, good for the bosses, not so good for ordinary Germans. A double whammy, given that their wages will fall. And then there's the welfare state bureaucrats, people who are generally immune to things like supply and demand and free markets and prices and recessions. People who have permanent jobs in government unions. Well, 1 million damaged souls with poor language skills, low education, lots of social work problems, lots of health problems. That's a feast for the welfare state. How many new government programs will need to be created? How many new budgets will need to be filled up? How many more staff will need to be hired? How many more caseworkers? And everyone needs more office space and more executive retreats and more pensions. The welfare state just got 1 million new clients. And none of this so far touches on the ethnic and cultural misfit here. According to the UN itself, 3/4 of these migrants are young men. They're 95, 99% Muslim. So in Germany, where Angela Merkel has said she'll take at least 800,000 people, well, 600,000 will be young men aged 16 to 30, unmoored from their homes and families in a new land where women don't wear burqas. They wear miniskirts and dance in bars and drink liquor. 600,000 single men added to Germany, uncorked from sexual repression on themselves, and yet having been taught that uncovered infidel women are just asking for it. Gee, I wonder what could go wrong. Oh, do you think that's unfair? Well, tell that to Sweden, which now has the highest rate of rapes in the world, correlated completely with their acceptance indiscriminately of refugees from these very same countries. Saying, do you think there's a reason why fellow Muslim states, Kuwait, Qatar, Oman, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, do you think there's a reason why those places, Dubai, the United Arab Emirates, do you think there's a reason why they have taken precisely 0 of these migrants? Not one. They're the same religion, same ethnicity, in the same neighborhood. These Gulf states are rich. Why would they not want to take 1 million rambunctious, aggressive young men from the war zone of Syria and Iraq and Afghanistan and Somalia? Yeah, pretty easy to figure out. So who benefits here? Well, Some people will benefit economically, of course. The bosses. Governments will benefit, the welfare state, employers, landlords, people who want to change the ethnic identity of Europe, people who want to earn the gratitude of newcomers at election time. So the elites. Grassroots Europeans are generous too, just as generous as we are, I think. But I doubt they share their leaders' indiscriminate welcome for 1 million Muslim men from Middle East war zones, unscreened, unskilled, unleashed. I predict this won't end well. I predict this will actually uncork new bigotry as Europe's goodwill is taken advantage of by opportunistic young men. I believe this will cause great economic hardship for ordinary Europeans. I think it'll actually cause anger from the migrants whose impossibly high expectations will not be met. And I believe there will be terrorists and war criminals who are sneaking in with the masses, and they will cause great tragedy. I'm going to go further. I believe that this unlimited migration will be the undoing of the European Union, not any financial or monetary crisis. I believe this will do it. For the Rebel.Media, I'm Ezra Levant.